Okay, I want to say hi again, guys. Welcome, guys. How you doing? I hope you guys are doing okay. And now I want to say to you, okay, in this video I want to talk to you about righteousness, okay, justice, righteousness, moral. Hold on, wait a minute. Before you say, I know, understand, right? Everyone can say, anyone can say, where do you get your morals from? Because everybody has got their own interpretations of what's right or wrong in different situations, right? So right and wrong we're talking about here. And I also do strongly believe that that's true. And I do also believe, that of course anyone, even the most negative people in the world, or people with strong views about something, people that even ones, well, even, sorry, so I get distracted, somebody talking to their dog, don't worry. Back to what I was saying though, as I say, you get a few people in the park, obviously, walking their dogs and everything, but back to what I was saying. I do strongly believe too that, people that are negative and people that are like maybe very violent and even hateful and angry and really wishing violence upon people, or greedy or selfish, or they believe that they deserve to get more than anybody else, and they should be put on a higher level. They should be the king. It's okay to kill people. All kinds of crazy ideas. They deserve more money than all the cookies on the plates. Whatever it is. Okay. Even those people that are violent and angry, even those people, negative, hateful. I believe those people. I believe that in their mind, they're the same as everybody else. Every human being is really trying to do what's right. They believe that there's some idea or something that they don't agree with, something that is bad, something that is wrong, something that is unjust or corrupt and bad and negative, and they want to get rid of that, and they want to fight for what they know is right, and what that means is logical in their mind, and they want to fight for the right to be done, the morality to be upheld, the good right thing to be done. And so basically what you get is that in society, so all people are doing that, but the problem is it's like righteousness, what's right and what's wrong. Now I want to say this, okay, do you believe that this world has no corruption? There's corruption all over the place, and I use this word corruption. There's a lot of wrongdoings, a lot of unbalance. There's a lot of evil, wicked, illogical things that go against nature. And what we really should be studying is nature. What's reality? What is right? What is right? Because what we're really talking about is destruction and creation. The opposite of creation is destruction. The opposite of balance is imbalance. And what does it mean if you've got an imbalanced, destructive, all over the place world? What you're going to have is, just chaos, utter chaos. And that, if it's a little bit out of balance, then you've got something that's very out of balance, you know what I mean? Because it's like totally wrong and very, very, that's dangerous. So balance sustains this sustains everything, you know what I mean? Life and for everyone on the planet, you know what I mean, basically, and for harmony and peace, you know what I'm saying? So basically, to sustain everything, you've got to go with reality, you've got to flow with reality, nature. That's what I'm always talking about, as I say, the Tao and yin and yang, the Tao, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's the only thing in life. There's nothing more. It's not about someone's idea, what you think is right or wrong. It's about the ultimate truth, nature, reality, what is. Not right because I think it's right, or because people grow up in certain cultures and certain backgrounds, and they hear all kinds of ideas around them, and they're trying to, or they believe that they've got some kind of status or position over somebody else, or for things to be. And yeah, I understand that you might say that in certain situations, things may be dealt with a certain way. So they might believe that they should be treated differently to others, or things like this. And you might say, well, how is that balanced? There is an actual thing, like every one of us is different. The same way as, the light from the sky, the sun hits things differently. You know what I mean? Like the shape of it, the rocks or whatever, the trees, the shadows will form differently as well. very philosophical stuff I'm saying, right? I could talk about the water laying flat no matter where it is, things like that as well for balance. But what I'm talking about is what is just in nature and reality, what it's all about. If you don't follow reality, totally, I'm saying, is it okay to lie to the self, even a little bit? Is it okay then so you've got that going on in the world. So you're living in a world with that. And it's these little things that just cause so much chaos. But can you have a perfect world, a perfect place and peace? I don't know, but then you may say without that little bit of imbalance, you won't have the, you know what I'm saying? Without one side, you won't have the other side. You know what I'm trying to say? That's also true. But we're talking about ultimately just the basic truth here of right, what is right. So what's right, okay? So we're talking about what is actually right. As in, when I say right, I'm not only talking about human emotion or what you think, like what's kind and good. I'm talking about what's right, as in correct. Not in terms of what you should do or what you shouldn't do, how you should live your life. No, my opinion. A bit noisy road here, very noisy road, sorry. But I'm talking about, you know, the thing here. Really, total correct. So the thing, so what is actually right and correct in terms of reality? What is logical? Not logical like as in a human logical common sense. What's the common sense, the common idea? You go to different cultures, you'll find it's very different. But I'm just saying, right, what is it? And you say, well, what's right for me, what's right for you? It's not going to be right for everybody. And then, you know, and all this or that, or how do you know? Well, I'm talking about basic things. Hear me out, right? You put all that stuff to the side, put all that crap to the side a minute, if you say, but the basic thing, you know you've got to live. You know pain's wrong. You know suffering's wrong. You know things like that, right? You know pain's wrong. You shouldn't want to inflict pain on anyone or try and control it because you wouldn't have it on you, or to be harmed or killed or whatever. You know, you wouldn't want to be starved. So it's like things like that. Even just having a home, just a place to live. The basics of modern day society, where we are now, we've got enough for the world. There's enough resources, natural resources, and also there's enough technology and stuff. We can actually do more for this world. I'm not saying you've got to live in the penthouse, goddamn, so you've got to live in the most luxurious, whatever, you know, mansion in the skyscrapers or whatever. I'm just saying, okay, there's a basic living. Everyone, I believe, should have that. Every single person. They can put your laws on whatever they put laws on and stuff, controlling certain things for safety. And they can put laws on certain things for like, you know, who's entering the country or not. They can control their populations a bit better. They can do all this and that, certain things. And the traffic police up here, you know. But I'm just saying, mate, they can do all kinds of things. Like they can put laws. They can put laws in place to have like control the, you know, the population. Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say? Like how many people, the birth rate and stuff. Control that. How many kids, how many people are having babies and all that. You know what I mean? How many you're allowed to have, and they can control all that. Fair enough. Yeah, I understand, right? Some countries have done that, but I'm saying, in terms of the basic standards, right, that should be a given. In my opinion, that should be a given. That should be a thing that all people should have. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, I think, in my personal, you might think it's not as simple as all that, and all this. Things have got complicated in the last, you know, as the years have gone by. I believe as the years have gone by. Things have just got more complicated. You might say people have become more smart. I just think people have become more complicated, to be honest with you. You know, and they made it more complicated for themselves, and they say that now they're more smart because they got more complicated, so they feel more smart. Do you really think civilization? In some ways, yes, but in some ways, no. It hasn't, you know. In my opinion, right, I think basically the basic thing is, right, every family, right, every individual, every person, every individual should have like the right and the ability to do some kind of work, you know, especially in their own country. And in terms of other countries too, I mean, if they're allowed in the country, they should be like, allowed to work. But what I'm trying to say is like, that's another thing, we can talk about that. But my opinion, right, they should be allowed. You hold on 1 second. And then, you know, be able to survive, you know what I mean? Be able to, that should be like enough to live on, you know what I'm trying to say, and survive on, you know what I mean? In my opinion. There should be. It shouldn't be like you're not able to stand up on your own two legs, even if you know or certain things holding you back. You've got to have this, you've got to have that in. Now, given, I understand, like certain jobs need extra training and stuff, right, for certain things. And then those jobs are like higher level, and you might they may require certain abilities of certain people, and so they need certain kind of qualifications, and the kind of work they do, they might deserve more higher pay for certain things, right? Fair enough. Yeah, but I'm just saying, in terms of a basic standard, a normal basic standard of living, just to actually survive and have a roof over your head, food in your belly, and that might sound crazy what I'm saying here, but really I'm saying to literally have food in your fucking belly, food and drink, roof over your head, electricity, a small place to live, your own place, whether you're an individual or a family or whatever. I believe the individual should be allowed to have that. Why is it that you'd work, you work your fucking arse off, you slave your arse off full time, working in a job full time, maybe putting in overtime too or whatever, but you still ain't got enough to live on. That ain't on. That is just fucked up. That's absolutely wrong. Excuse my language. It's basically a murder. That's a murder. That's a murder. That's abuse to force people out to be homeless first off. And then, that's a murder basically. You starve and murder them. It's like it's just killing you, torturing you and killing you. Literally. Where are you going to go? It's not whose problem is it? Nobody's problem. That's a killing. That's a murder. So, to me, it might sound crazy what I'm saying. You might say, well, no, you've got to get a certain qualification. I understand that. But it doesn't make any sense to me what are certain things. What I think it should be is like this, okay? Certain jobs should give training. I know some do as well. Certain jobs should give training as well, and then you do it. But it's like, but I'm saying in terms of simple, some basic just jobs and stuff, whatever you're doing, even working in a shop or whatever it is, simple, you might call it low-level jobs, but I'm saying they should have enough to live on. They should really have enough to actually be able to live on. If not, then why? What's the point in having these jobs? And full-time, doing. So if you hold on 1 second while I just go along here, hold on. I'll say, right, I'll just finish what I'm saying. I'm going to stop this video in a minute, right? But I've got a few questions. I've got a few questions, and I'm going to cover a few more questions in the following video. I'm going to make another video follow up to this video, okay? Because I'm talking to you now about justice. Hold on, some weirdo following me around this corner. We're just finishing what I'm saying here, right? Talking about justice, okay, and what's right. I don't think it's all right to torture people like that and murder people like that, because that's what it's basically doing. The government's killing your own people like that. You don't have a place to live. You ain't got food in your belly. That's just fucked up. That's absolutely fucked up. So just covering what I'm saying, right, on a few points here, right? I'm going to finish what I'm saying. We're going to cover this again. There should not fucking be, there shouldn't be homeless people sleeping on the street all around, and especially your own country's people. That's fucked up. So a country should be ashamed of doing that, allowing their own people to be on the streets. Just purpose that you've not given them a job, or the job's not enough to survive on, or they're putting all other kind of obstacles in your way. And then you've got the population that high, and they're letting all kinds of foreigners in and stuff, and then whether they're homeless or whatever, or working, but they should control the population. You've got countries countries able to control birth rates and stuff like that, as in control, stop you from having kids. I mean, some countries don't even, there's so many people now that the birth rate's dropping anyway, they haven't got enough. But, it should be, I wouldn't give a fuck, excuse my language, if they made it mandatory to have a job and you had a choice of jobs and people couldn't be lazy even. But it's like, at least you've got to have somewhere to fucking live and have food in your belly, and you get some free time here, a day or two off or whatever, a day or two off, based on your basic ability. But everybody should have a base. Why don't they make it mandatory that everybody should get a basic education? You've got to come up with something. At least for the most part, there should be more things put in place, I think. Because there's certain reasons, as I say, if you're letting kids drop out of school and things like that, and certain things go on, there's a lot of things, man. You've got to check the mental health of people too. There's foreigners coming into the countries and stuff who can't even speak the language. You know what I mean? And they're getting jobs and that. There's just certain things going on. There's corruption. And what I'm saying here, right, is another point I want to say to you, another thing I want to say is about this, okay, about Christians and religious people. There's certain religious people out there. Let me just say, if I was to ask, because I don't know, I'm not really religious myself. But how about, certain Christians and stuff like that? There's people out there. They talk about things like, you know, you're not supposed to be afraid of people, right? Afraid of another man. You're afraid of God. You follow God, right? So there, okay then. So what about God then? Because I don't know. I'm going to cover these questions again in another video, some more as well. But just briefly, right? Okay then. I've heard it said that by some Christians, right? They've said that, you know, God has actually allowed it. People to have the laws of the land, and you're supposed to obey the laws of the land. So you're allowed to obey the laws of the land. But don't you realise there's a lot of corruption in the world, in laws? Corruption in laws. And even those specific laws, if things are based on that, it might be connected to something else, and somewhere along the line there's something's, you know, if you had corruption somewhere, and that's linked to that, and the whole thing's based on a thing. You might have a very strong building there, but at the bottom, you know what I'm trying to say, you may have you know what I'm trying to say, like that somewhere in the midst of it, there's some corruption, and you don't even know what. So any part of that could be corrupt, or the thing you follow. I'm just saying, right, the whole thing, right, corruption there, right? So how are you going to follow the laws of the land? So you might say, okay, then you've got to follow the laws of the land, you know, the laws of the land and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, now what if the laws of the land aren't even following the word of God? True, I'm saying if there is a God, I'm not religious, I'm just saying, right? You see what I'm trying to say there? How are you supposed to know or not? And it's like, oh, so it don't matter. Even if the laws of the land are going against that, and going against righteousness and the teachings and following and going against God and all that stuff. Yeah? And what about your morals? Where do you get your morals from then? And it's like, you know, so I don't think God would contradict, would he? God wouldn't say, God might say follow the laws of the land, meaning like back in the day, if those laws are supposed to follow what he's saying, but it's like, well, follow the truth and the thing, right? You got to be logical. What I'm trying to say is like, God wouldn't say, follow the laws of the land that go against me. Follow the laws that go contradict everything I'm saying. Follow that and don't follow me. Is that what they're saying? He wouldn't say that, would he? When people are greedy, selfish, they're following what Christians would call the way of the devil. You know what I mean? They're following the evil, the pure confusion, absolute utter confusion and evil, and greed and selfishness and greed and all that. What things that go against all like the Ten Commandments and stuff about thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. They're constantly stealing and killing, and they're allowing it, and you're enabling them to do it, to work for their companies to do it, or to be, you know. And then how can you support something like that? You know what I'm trying to say? So there's a lot of things I want to say, but there's other questions I was going to ask too. I mean, I'm not Christian, but questions here, questions like for Christians and stuff. There's other things I want to ask about other things that I don't really understand too, just from their point of view. And, or not that, it should be, you know, the word of God, God's point of view, if there is a God. Because it seems to me that a lot of people in this world, most people, aren't really focusing and trying to study the absolute truth and philosophy of what is absolute true and right. Most of them, but some of the most powerful groups you see, the strongest beliefs are the ones who believe in like a God or something. I'm saying in terms of any kind of like, anything close to truth and righteousness. But I'm not religious myself, but I'm talking about whether there's a God or whatever it is, but nature in general and reality and all that is the sustaining life on this planet, and how all of us can live a healthy life, healthy mind, healthy body, and survive and have a roof over your head and food in your stomach, things like that, you know. So that's my point, you know, that's my basic point, you know. So that's my basic point, you know, there. It's like, you know, you've got to get it right. You can't keep talking about all that other stuff about righteousness, and you've got people all around the world now, there's all kinds of like anger and that because they're not getting paid enough money or whatever the fuck it is, money, greed, excuse my language. And you've got like corruption, you've got protesting in certain countries and violent riots and protests because they want to be treated, and they're more bothered about who's ruling over them, the king of the land, so to speak, who's ruling the government, who's running who. But you know, it's either God, nature, or reality, whatever. But the truth, you've got to do what's right. It's about doing what's absolutely correct and right. It's not okay to be starving people left and right, murdering people, basically, kicking them out of a home, having nothing, allowing somebody... Would you allow some strangers to come into your house and take everything from you and say, sorry, kids, you've got nowhere to sleep tonight, nowhere to eat tonight, just go out and die? Would you say that? You're enabling... You might not have been realising yourself, but in some ways we enable all this shit that goes on around us. So you can do whatever you want, you can go around... You got people, even preachers and stuff in churches, sometimes they go in there and they're wearing a shirt and tie and all this. People weren't doing that back in the ancient days. Jesus weren't doing that either. These robes. It's about truth. It's about absolute truth. It should be about truth. It's about logic and truth is what it's supposed to all be about. If it's not about truth and logic, and how can anything be surviving and sustaining on the planet? So there's a lot of corruption. So I've got respect for the police and laws and things. There's a lot of corruption and there's a lot of evil. And you've got to understand that evil is, it's got no mind, violence on people, and violence can form itself in many ways. It's assault on your life, So I think we've got to understand that, we've got to understand what the hell we're doing. It's all right for one thing to say, well, that's people being treated a certain way and I'm not. But no, how about true survival? How about true reality? You can't be kicking people out homeless every day, letting people run all the way around the world. You're not allowed in this country, you're allowed in that country, you're not allowed in your own country, you're not allowed here, you're not allowed to sleep, you've got nothing to do, you're not allowed to eat. And now you're not even allowed to think and express yourself freely. And they're taking down individuals as well as groups, just group, it's people against each other. Chaos. Think about what's true and right. Talk to you again soon.